Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're going to journey way back to the dawn of civilization to uncover the story of Fuxi, the legendary ancestor of Chinese culture.
This ancient text, it's describing a mind that was trying to find order in all the chaos, a mind that would basically lay the foundation for an entire civilization. So let's explore the story of this legendary figure, and it all starts with his pretty miraculous birth.
Yeah, the story of Fuxi doesn't just start with a regular guy. It kicks off in this mythical land, and it all begins with a divine conception.
So, picture this. In a place called the Marsh of Leibniz, a woman named Huaxu steps into a giant's footprint, and just like that, she becomes pregnant for 12 years. This was obviously no ordinary birth. It was a celestial event, a sign that someone destined to change the world was about to arrive.
And the child that was finally born was Fuxi. But get this, he was a demigod, with the head of a human and the body of a serpent. His very form was this incredible symbol. You've got the human head, right? That's his intellect, his wisdom from the heavens. And then the serpent body, that connects him to the earth, the rivers, to life itself. He was, quite literally, a bridge between the divine world and the mortal one.
Okay, so now we have this demigod on Earth. What does he do? Well, Fuxi looks around and sees humanity in this, pretty primitive state. And he decides he's going to elevate it. What's so fascinating is how all these ancient myths basically give him credit for inventing the cornerstones of society. He's the one who took a wild world and started to make it civilized.
And he didn't just do one thing. He did a whole bunch of stuff that completely changed the game. First, he created marriage rites. Before him, it was all just chaotic group unions. He brought structure, creating the family. Then, he taught people how to domesticate animals. Think about that. Suddenly you have a stable food source. You're not just constantly out there on a dangerous hunt. These weren't just small tweaks. These were the absolute building blocks of civilization. He's literally moving humanity from a really precarious existence into a much more stable, ordered age. So how did he come up with these ideas? Well, take the fishing net, for example. The legend says Fuxi was just chilling under a tree one day, and he's watching a spider spin this intricate web to catch bugs. And right then, a light bulb goes off.
He took that idea and wove nets from rattan. Suddenly, his people could catch tons of fish, and they weren't getting hurt trying to grab them with their bare hands. It was so much better. And this just perfectly shows his whole method, right? He observes the patterns in nature and then figures out how to apply them to solve real human problems.
But Fuxi's biggest contribution wasn't about hunting or fishing. It wasn't physical at all. It was all about the mind. See, he wanted to go deeper. He wanted to understand the fundamental rules of existence itself, like the source code for the entire universe.
And the story goes that one day, this mythical dragon horse comes out of the river, and on its back is this mystical diagram, the He-2. Now that gave him his first big clue. But the final piece of the puzzle, the real aha moment, came from just observing the world all around him. And that led to an absolutely profound breakthrough.
So what was this breakthrough? Fuxi realized that everything, literally everything in existence, is born from the interplay of two forces that are opposites but also complementary. We're talking about yin and yang. You can think of it as passive and active, dark and light, feminine and masculine. It's this fundamental duality that he saw governing the entire universe.
Okay, so how did he map this out? It's actually brilliant. He represented yin as a broken line and yang as a solid line. Simple, right? But then, by combining them, he created what are called the four symbols, which represent the major phases of this cosmic dance. He didn't stop there, though. He took it one step further, added a third line to each of those, and that's how he generated this set of 8 figures. And these are the famous 8 Trigrams, or Bagua.
And each one of these 8 trigrams stood for a fundamental force or element in nature. You've got heaven, earth, water, fire, and so on. So what he created, in essence, was a symbolic map of the entire cosmos. It was a system you could use to understand and describe the constant change and flow of the universe. Pretty incredible.
All right, so for thousands of years, this was all just a story, a myth. But what does the actual evidence say? That's the big question, right? Can we find any real traces of this legendary figure in the actual dirt of history?
Come on. A demigod with a human head and a serpent's body, could he have been real? Well, let's take a look at what archaeologists have actually dug up right in the same area where the myths say Fuxi was born. Okay, check this out. On the left, you've got the myth, the artistic idea of what he looked like. But on the right,
That's a real artifact. It's a pottery vessel that's almost 8,000 years old, found in the Dadiwan culture in Gansu. It's a human-headed, newt-bodied bottle. I mean, look at that. The similarity is just, wow, it's striking.
And sites like Dadiwan are so important because they push the cultural history in the place Fuxi supposedly came from way, way back. We're talking almost 8,000 years. And that timeline, it lines up perfectly with when you'd expect to see stories about a foundational cultural hero like this.
But let's talk about his legacy, because Fuxi's most abstract invention, those lines and trigrams, has had the most concrete, real-world impact you can imagine. Turns out, his ancient system of lines wasn't just some old philosophy. It was actually a blueprint for the language of our modern world.
Think about it. The broken and unbroken lines of the Bagua. What are they really? It's a binary system. An unbroken yang line is like a 1. A broken yin line is like a 0. You see where this is going?
Fast forward a few thousand years. The famous mathematician and philosopher Gottfried Leibniz, one of the guys who co-invented calculus, he comes across this ancient Chinese system, and he was absolutely floored. He recognized immediately that Fuxi's trigrams were a perfect representation of the binary system he was working on. Just like that, the ancient code of the universe became the code that runs our computers.
So it really makes you think, doesn't it? If the code for our digital world was conceived a millennia ago, what other ancient wisdom have we just not unlocked yet? Fuxi's story really shows that the patterns of the past can literally write the future. And it leaves you wondering, what other secrets are still hidden away in these ancient symbols?